Hello and welcome to Modern, am I talking now? Hello and welcome to Modern Art Blitz. I'm your host, Matt Gleason, and I just got to make sure everything's working today. Mercury is retrograde. Okay, so I will now welcome my fabulous and beautiful co-host, Lisa Derrick.
Hi, Matt.
How you been?
Good.
Good week?
I had an awesome week.
Yeah?
I had an awesome week. I got a preview.
What were their names?
Okay, I had a preview for what's going to be going on at Coachella this year, and one of our news items has to do with what's going to go down at Coachella next year.
Next year?
Next year. Next year, Ed Ruscha is
Oh,
going...
we're just gabbing. Okay, she's such a good co-host. She's already jumping into the news segment. I'm still warming up. I'm cold. Look at this. Okay, so
I'm always hot, Matt.
So, ladies and germs, here with the news segment.
Well, see, I was going to do it conversationally.
Oh, okay. So tell us about Coachella.
Coachella, well, actually, this year, an artist you've shown at Coagula is playing Coachella.
Oh?
The band Prayers. You showed Rafael Reyes.
Oh, okay.
Yep. But next year, and you know, Coachella has been conceived as a music and art festival.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's lining up to see the artwork.
No. They do have art installations. They have an art tent. And Global Inheritance creates these art recycling trash cans. But
Did they pay you for that plug? Get with the news.
No. We're getting into, so I'm just giving you a little background here. But starting in 2007,
I need the background because there's no way in hell you could pay me to go to Coachella. So tell us about 2017 Coachella.
Ed Ruscha.
I've heard of him.
You've heard of him.
Rings a bell.
Rings a bell, yeah. He is on the board of directors for something called Desert X, which is Desert Art Exhibitions, and it's going to be a major art fair that runs at the same time as Coachella, which means there's going to be no place to sleep there. There's going to be no hotel rooms, and the guy who is the head currently of the curating the art for Coachella Music Art and Festival is also on the board of directors, and Coachella, the festival, is one of the patrons. So it's going to be this whole conglomeration of art. It's going to be like Miami Art Basel in the desert, but with way fewer hotel rooms and probably more bed bugs and drugs.
Call me underwhelmed.
Really?
Well, here's my issue with Coachella. One, it's the basic environment. It's a festival. The fact that there's going to be this art world kind of glomming onto it, I think what you really are seeing is the people from this Coachella Music Festival are sort of maximizing their cachet to get in with the art world. And I advise all artists to do exactly that. Maximize your cachet. Whatever you have that no one else has, maximize that for maximum results in the easily impressed and manipulated art world.
Well, some artists are considered to be almost rock stars, and you have certain rock stars who create art after they retire from being rock stars, or stars. Tony Bennett, Miles Davis, Frank Sinatra.
I love you, Miles, but God, your art was bad.
Frank Sinatra painted, and now Brandon Boyce from Incubus, he has all these art books out. So there's this
Consider me underwhelmed.
Okay, well, they're just trying to maximize their name in the same way Coachella is trying to maximize theirs.
Oh, no, definitely. And I don't blame anybody for making art, but I blame them for making bad art.
Ooh.
So,
and speaking of making good art, who's our first guest?
Our first guest today, he's an artist.
An artist.
He's the founder of ICA, Inglewood Cultural Arts, a nonprofit.
501c3.
Everything in the art world's nonprofit when you get down to it.
But he's a
Except those trust funds, right, kids?
That was a dirty look you gave me,
Oh,
Matt.
man. I was gonna let you have a don't guilt trip. Okay. So he is an artist, a curator. He founded ICA, the Inglewood Cultural Arts, and he's an all-around power player who can make or break your art career with one flick of his hand. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Massenburg. Don't kick the camera. How you doing, man?
Ladies first.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Pleasure, man. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, Michael, it's been a while. How did you find out? Michael was walking by last night. I said, I have a guest for tomorrow. So anyway,
Yeah.
you are a longtime friend. And,
Yes.
I think did I first meet you when you were at the Beacon Arts Building? Remember do you still have a studio there?
Yeah, I still have a studio there.
And which is in Inglewood.
But I would say that I've been aware about what you've been doing since I used to work back in the day at Aaron Brothers in the early 90s, and we used to get the paper.
Coagula.
Yes, I mean, that historical document, I was like, look forward to that. And that's why I was early on when I got involved in the arts. And then during that period of time, I had two friends. We decided to put together our own art show. Lavelle Campbell,
Oh.
Naylor Mitchell, and we did a exhibition at Arts of Barbie, which was a restaurant
Oh
slash.
my God, you're going back to like 1992.
Wow. Exactly.
Art and Barbie.
Exactly.
It was the most amazing place.
Yes.
It was
Yep.
it was a barbecue restaurant.
Exactly.
With an art it wasn't one of these restaurants where like there's like this poorly lit wall where
Yeah.
they put 3 paintings by their friend.
Yes.
They had an actual art
Yes.
gallery,
Yes.
white wall,
Separate.
clean floor,
Yeah.
Wow.
separate. You'd walk up, you could go have
Yeah.
food, then you could walk in and look at the art. Oh, this is in Los Feliz,
Exactly.
1993.
Right. I know
That's
it was
right.
right on Hillhurst.
It was on Hillhurst, exactly.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was owned by Deborah McDuff. She now lives back east with her family now.
Oh, they had
Oh,
great
wow,
barbecue
wow, wow.
too.
Yes. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh man,
Yes.
that's
going way back. So yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
glory days, kids.
yeah.
So, so you're a veteran of the LA arts scene. If you were showing at Art and Barbie, let me tell you.
Yes,
So
yes.
what changes have you seen in the LA art scene since the early 90s?
Oh wow! Because when I got involved in stuff, I was able to meet with and work with a lot of the generation that's been there for years, and they've been knowing each other. A lot of people I met during that time been knowing each other for like 20, 30 years when I met them with each other. So I thought it was fascinating. It was sort of like, it felt like a family type of thing and it was easily open and sharing and stuff. No, it was something I wasn't used to, having that open armness, so I was really fortunate. What it seemed like to me in the past few years, it seemed like, as opposed to art being the name thing, it seemed like now it's more like the art career thing for the.
Yeah.
And it seemed like there's a shift in why some people are deciding to become an artist. Not so much that it's just different intentions and stuff. And so I do get to see a lot of that, and it's really interesting to me because you think like, well, how many people are going to still be doing art from that vantage point as far as coming out with that, like I'm doing this for a career, be famous or make money and stuff like that.
So you think basically like, in my opinion, and I totally agree with you, is like the line to be an art star is shorter than the line to be a rock star. So you get these people whose first impulse is to be famous, and the art is really thin.
And secondary to the whole process.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's about the art.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, and I think you can, at least I feel I can usually spot stuff like that.
Oh yes, yeah. You can tell someone is like really doing it just because, to go from A to B. Because I know the artists that I was hanging out, I got a chance to meet like John Otterbridge and stuff, and he was a great, and also helped me introduce to a whole lot of other artists. And then also I was following, and so I grew up in the South Central area of Los Angeles. And
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Washington High School.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to Cal State Long Beach. But I was really interesting about the dynamics as far as me growing up in the South Central areas. I wasn't aware about the Watts Towers or what was happening there, because as a kid.
Wait.
Yes.
You grew up in South Central.
Yes.
And you were not aware of the Watts Towers.
Because I wasn't connected to any art thing. Because like growing up, As a kid, the sensibility of what an art is and artists. I mean, I knew about Picasso, but Picasso wasn't from the hood.
Right.
So it's like like that's about all I knew about what art. I mean, for me, a living artist wasn't any of my experience growing up, and so it was really, I was doing art, but I had no distinction that I was creating art. Where I love to draw, make things, create things, and stuff like that. And so,
for the record, Picasso is not from the hood.
correct.
You heard it here first, in case you were confused.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I mean, you grew up very close to the Watts Towers,
Yes.
and but I have to say, growing up in LA,
Mm-hmm.
we really didn't learn about I didn't know the Watts Towers existed until I was reading the newspaper when I was 14 or 15. I'm like, wait, we have this here?
Yeah.
So I think they were really ignored. And
We went on a field trip. Man, we went on a field trip when we were kids to the Watts Towers. There was no fence around them.
Mm-hmm.
One kid climbed one guy. We got yelled at, and he came back and he had pulled stuff off. He had some metal. I think it was like a metal soldier
Yes.
and some seashells and stuff. And he was like, and he had him on the bus back. Oh, check this out, because he had climbed up and was picking it off. And that was in '75, maybe.
Wow.
Wow.
I want to say, I'm trying to remember the exact.
that's very.
I'm trying to remember the teacher that we yelled at. If I can remember the teacher that wasn't me.
Yeah.
I did not climb.
No, but I didn't know they existed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're primarily a painter, yes?
A lot of painting, a lot of drawing, collaging, assemblies. A lot of times I tell people like mixed media stuff because I'm influenced by so many different things that excites me. But primarily a lot of painting because I do murals and public art stuff throughout the years and stuff. So love painting, love drawing. I just love the whole process of creating. So I use all materials.
Your art's behind us here. So you consider yourself an expressionist? I mean, what is there some kind of terminology that might describe your overall approach?
That's a good question. It's one of those things. Through the years, I never really looked at closely what school I would fall in. I was more interested in the things that were that stimulated me. It was later on that I said, oh, cause that's what this style is, or that's what this style is. So I guess I probably will fall in that. But I think my whole goal is to be able to create work fluidly, intuitively, without worrying about different labels. I know in our culture, labeling something is easier for people to digest it. And
how can I destroy you if I can't define you? That's what I want to know.
That's the big.
That's what grad school basically sets you up to do.
Yeah.
Define yourself.
That's a beautiful painting, though.
So we can keep you
stunning.
Thank you.
Now, what year is this painting from?
Oh, it's a recent piece. As a matter of fact, it's going to be in a show in next month at called Skins. That's at the Municipal Art Gallery.
That's going to be at the Municipal Art Gallery, right? They have a new director now.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And so I'm part of that. There's a lot of LA artists and also throughout the country and stuff.
Okay, that opens in February, right?
That's open in February.
Okay, great.
You have another show that you curated that's up.
Yep. Since we were talking about the Watts Towers Art Center, I curated a show with Rosalie Hooks, the director. I had a long history working, through there after I discovered and found out that it was actually there.
How old were you when you found them?
The funny part, I'll tell you the story. I was taking a class at Cal State Long Beach. I was probably, 20, 21 or something like that. And I was taking a Black Studies class, and there was a teacher was saying I'm inviting everybody to come to the Watts Towers. I'm having a painting class one evening. I said, okay. So I took down the image. Oh, that's nearby me, So that was probably around. I don't care if I date myself. That was about 81. And so when I decided to go there, I was in complete shock. I walk into this space, listen to jazz music, everybody's painting, and the funniest part was they all were Black like me because I didn't know any artists. I didn't know any artists. I didn't know any artist that was like me doing it. So I'm seeing that. I was like, wow. I had a double culture shock.
That is one and you felt.
Yeah, it felt at home and stuff. I never experienced that before. Because even I was taking classes at Cal State Long Beach and some of the JCs and stuff, it was just pretty much just kind of normal, generic stuff. And so I was actually going into a different direction. I was actually starting to open a business with my dad in Inglewood, It was in printed sportswear, but I wasn't doing any art anymore because I wasn't really sure I was going to even measure up, kind of thing. Because it was kind of thing where I never had any teachers or mentors that really kind of guide me. I had one teacher at Long Beach that kind of helped me a lot, but I pretty much was on my own. And so going to the tower was like, wow, that was a great experience. And so, but for the next 8 years, I was concentrating on the business and doing any art. And then about like 1989 and 90, we closed the business down, and I was looking for something else I was interested in. And I said, I really like to do this art thing, but I don't know anybody. I don't know anything about art. I'm not connected with anything, but I'm going to go for it. Because when they tell you don't become an artist because you're a star, I'm broke. I was already broke when I just made that decision. So I was free. I was free to go ahead, like, I'm going to do this. I mean, I don't care. Like, but at this point, this is what I want to do.
Wait, go back to that part about, because I'm flat broke and I'm supposed to be art world. I'm juggling 5 roles in the art world. There ain't 5 cents between them.
Well, yeah, but you had.
So I don't want. So I guess what happened is I decided not to have that as an excuse not to do something I really wanted to do. And I think it took about a period of time, between my early 20s till by the time I'm almost 30 years old, to say, you know what, I think I want to do this thing.
Saturn return.
Yeah.
So where in LA have you shown? Well, you said Art and Barbie up in Los Feliz.
Yeah.
You're curated the show at the Watts Towers, which is now, when is that up? That's been up for a while, right?
It's been up for a while. It'll end at the end of February, 26th or 27th.
So it was almost up for a year, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations, that's great.
And then, was that the 50th anniversary
Exactly.
show?
And that was really great for me to be able to be part of that, even though I have curated a few shows there before, and also used to work there in the early years and stuff, and of course, hanging out and knowing a lot of people came through the years and stuff. So it was great. It was an honor for me to be a part of putting this together because it was 50 years, and it was really given how people are seeing the same thing that was happening back then is happening now.
Yeah.
I think it was really important to kind of look back. It was kind of really sad at the same point, like we're still at the same point, just that we have cell phones to record it now and let us know that that's the only difference.
Exactly.
And everybody's doing, so it's like, it's like one after another. So yeah, it was great to be able to put that together. And so in that, I wanted to, and my part was to not only just bring in images that were people were expecting, found opposite symmetry, we have some of that. We had no pure 4 in the piece. We have different. We had like.
Did you know Noah Porterfoy?
I got a chance. By the time I got involved in the arts, he had moved to Joshua Tree.
Oh, okay.
But I did know. Got a chance to meet Sue Welch. And then I got a chance to go out and visit him in 2001. I got a chance to interview him because we did a whole bunch.
For video or?
Yeah, it was just something. It was something I decided to do, is start documenting and archiving, and based upon my friend, the late Cecil Ferguson, who was very encouraged a lot of us to go ahead and document stuff that he wasn't able to do. He missed out, documented everything of a lot of the great stuff he did in the early years, and so that became kind of like a part. So I decided to just take a camera and I just asking questions, stuff like that. It was very one of those great moments to be able to sit and talk with him and stuff like that, and it was great for him, like I said, because at that time he'd been out in Joshua Tree for quite a while and didn't come down to LA as much because I wouldn't either. It's like he was out there making art with no interference, And just like with, I think that a few people had acknowledged that there was really no art market for what he was doing at that point. And maybe for a few artists, like the Keyhoes and Rauschenberg, stuff like that. But for like him and a few other ones, it's like just totally just ignored,
Well, now that he's passed away, of course he has a museum show and a big market.
Now his exhibit that was at Lackman, that was curated by Franklin Sermons, now is considered one of the top shows that's during the year, across the board, nationally and also in some international publications. So, and it's only because there wasn't a light shine on them. But when you recognize the real art about creating from within, as far as like, I'm doing this because I have to do this or I want to do this, not because I'm trying to get on, because for a lot of those artists, they either had to create their own situation, or they just created art and just did it on their own. That was it. And I think that was a big difference between then and probably some now, where some artists are like, well, I want to do this because I want to, and not to take away from like education is important, but you still have to have that passion and heart and stuff. And by the time I decided to make it, I was like, this is it. And I'm going to die with it, whatever. I'm doing this. This is the only thing I loved.
You're a lifer?
Yeah, oh, yes.
Here's the art world lifers.
There's a thing that friend John Outerbridge said, wounded with a blessing.
Huh?
Wounded with a blessing. That was
Who said that?
John Outerbridge.
John Outerbridge, wounded with a blessing.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Wow.
And that statement says so much, and like, completely understand that. Yeah.
That might be a little too deep for a show that I'm involved with, but that was pretty deep.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
So we've got you showing at Barnsdall coming up, the LA Municipal Gallery.
And then next weekend on the 7th, 16th at Liz's Loft, we have a show called We're Talking About Watts. Watts is opening up at Liz's Loft.
Oh, on La Brea.
Yes, on La Brea.
The Loft at Liz's.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. It was curated by Stan Sanders, who was one of the key players in the early 60s for a lot of the black artists in the community. He was an attorney. He was a Rhodes Scholar. He helped. He was involved with the Black Art Council that was part of working the late Cecil Ferguson and Claude Booker when they were organizing exhibitions, and so he was part of that. The Watts Summer Festival was part of that. So him and Liz had a conversation where they decided to put together a show. In the show, you have Noah Purifoy, David Hammonds, you have John Outerbridge, John Riddle, and Charles Dixon, Timothy Washington, Cynthia White. I hope I don't leave anybody out, but it's like 8 or 9 of us.
You are like totally concerned with making sure you mention everybody. Everybody in the art world is talking about themselves, and here we got a special guest, Michael Massenburg, and who is he talking about? Everybody else.
But
But it's that generosity of spirit that's really important.
Yes.
It's very
is,
interesting you brought
truly.
that up, because that's the reason why I am like this, because those artists that was before me, they took me in. They were like that. They were like, they could have said I was in awe with some of the artists that I met, that took me in, and so how can I be selfish when they were so generous to me?
Wow. Well, that's great. That's great. Well,
and
hey,
that's the kind of spirit that we need in this.
That is so rare in the art world, and especially when you feel that it's like it's so hard anyway to make it.
Yes.
Why the hell not be nice when everybody else is panicking, going, "It's so hard to make it. I better hold on to this little thing here."
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
great.
crazy.
Well, hey man, thanks for joining us, and I'm looking forward to seeing the show at Barnsdall for sure, man. I'm very excited. Show's coming up at Loft at Liz's. You got a lot on your plate.
Yes.
Love your art. You're a great guy, and I was just happy to have you. I'm glad I saw you last night.
It's awesome.
All right,
My pleasure.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Applause track.
Take care.
Applause track. Applause track. Yes, applause.
Well, next week we're going to have a live audience. There'll be plenty of people to
great.
clap.
So what else is in the news these days, Lisa? What's in the art world news?
Oh, copyright infringement and appropriation. Remember?
Don't tell me. Let me guess. His initials are RP.
Absolutely right, Matt. It's Richard Prince. He's at it again. Remember in 2014 at Freeze, he put up they were shots of Instagram, including some of the Suicide Girls.
90 grand a piece.
90 grand a piece. And what the Suicide Girls did was put their own Instagrams that he had stolen up for sale for $90 each.
Okay, go on.
Now what's going on is that a photographer named let me check my notes here. I'm not completely 100%. Donald Graham, I was right, is suing Prince for using a photo from a book of his called, the photo's called Smoking Rasta, and it's a Rastafarian smoking a doob, and it had been, someone Instagrammed it out. Prince found it, added his own Instagram caption to it, and printed it out. Now, in the past, Prince was sued by a photographer for repurposing his artwork.
Let's talk about this case.
But but in this case, Prince and Graham have a similar footprint. They're both fine artists. They're both shown in international galleries. So Graham has turned around and sued Gagosian. It's not just a case of, in the past, he's gotten away with it as being fair use. But is an Instagram caption fair use?
Interesting, because he finally ripped off an artist with the means to sue him.
Yeah.
And
to sue
an actual
Gagosian.
creative artwork.
Yeah, and there is probably more than one leg to stand on in this case. But it brings up, what is fair use? If I take a picture...
Yeah. Well, the thing about Richard Prince is he's ripped off so many people as a sort of game. And I actually have come to believe that Richard Prince's artwork is, his legacy will be to actually have defined what is copyright. Because
Yes.
eventually he's going to go down in burning flames, I believe. But he's going to fall on the sword so that we all know where the boundaries lie. So maybe that's why he will be remembered as an important artist. It sure as shit won't be for the crap art he's made.
No, because I looked at his stuff and I'm like, whatever. And there's another copyright lawsuit that involves painters at Windward in Miami, and there's a church called VOUS. V-O-U-S.
I don't want to.
You don't know. It involves the Kardashians.
We
can go. We can move on.
Don't ever mention that name on my show.
Okay.
Okay. My next guest is an artist, an educator, and one of the great forces for good in the free world.
Amen.
It is my honor and distinct pleasure to introduce Ms. April Bey.
Okay, I'm new to this. Hi.
Don't act too enthused.
I don't know. I'm not used to this. Okay, where do I look? I'm just gonna look at you
Just look at me.
and hold.
Here's
this
looking at you, kid. She's holding her microphone battery. We can't go wrong. So, welcome to the show, April.
thing. Thanks for having me.
You're quite welcome. I'm a big fan, and I'm thrilled to have you here. And you've met Lisa.
Yes.
You two they were in Chinatown. They went and had boba.
Boba.
April
Yes.
bought me a boba.
Boba.
Wow. Jeez. Big spender.
It's important.
Okay.
Business expense.
What kind of boba did you have?
Green tea.
What's your favorite? Is that your favorite boba flavor?
Yeah.
We could just talk about boba. Is that easier than talking about art?
I know pretty much everything about both, so
You know
She has
everything.
made her own boba.
yeah. It
You
takes,
actually made boba?
yeah, it takes like 2 hours to make. It's crazy.
Do you have to have ball-shaped molds?
Well, you buy tapioca balls.
Okay.
And then you have to boil them for an hour and stir them every 5 minutes, and then let them steep for another hour.
Wow.
I make pretty good boba, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and your boba was comparable to one you would get in Chinatown?
I'd say it was better.
Wow.
Because it was fresh and homemade.
Yeah,
Wow.
organic.
But it only lasts for 24 hours, you said.
Yeah.
do you
Otherwise,
mean?
you can't reconstitute it after 24 hours. It turns into hard, like earwax.
Okay. I just had to. A cheap joke. So tell us now, April. You're showing around LA, but I want to get some of your history out. A lot of people, don't know your whole story. Where are you from?
Well, I was born in Indiana.
Indiana. I've heard of that. What country is that in?
That's in the United States.
I don't believe you. Okay.
But as a baby, my parents divorced, and my mom moved us to the Caribbean because I'm biracial, and my mom's white, and she tells me to this day that the reason she wanted us to move to a black-centric country is so that I could be raised there instead of here. So I grew up
In the Bahamas.
In the Bahamas, yeah.
In paradise. Hold on, hey Nolan, we're getting an echo of the audio pretty loud in here. Okay, I don't know. It's tech, okay? It's a tech. This is a tech company, not an entertainment company. Don't ever forget that. Okay, so you grew up in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. Why would you leave paradise?
I always tell people that it's different to live there than it is to visit. So I lived on the other side of the hill, what we call the other side of the hill, which is where workers, people that actually live there, live.
You didn't live in a nice hotel with a spa?
Nope.
Oh, no.
Didn't grow up in privilege. We actually grew up pretty poor. But it was after 9/11, really. My mom had several restaurants and stuff there, and like the entire economy just dumped. And I also took placement tests in school, and they didn't really have art for me to go into there. It was either hotel management or banking. And I tested out of, like, I was horrible at math and horrible at everything else. And my mom asked me, she's like, what do you really want to do? And I was like, I want to make art. And
Wow.
she started planning to get me back here to finish my high school up in the States, and
Wow.
did my undergrad and grad here.
Okay. Where'd you go to school?
I went to undergrad at Ball State in Muncie, Indiana.
Oh, so you went back to Indiana.
Yeah, just went back there, and
Whew, okay.
after some speech classes, managed to get to college and did my BFA at Ball State, and then came out here for my MFA.
Where'd you get your MFA?
CSUN.
CSUN, Northridge.
I am so proud of that.
You're like because now I went to Cal State LA. Our first guest tonight, Michael Massenburg, went to Cal State Long Beach. And so we're all kind of, are we rivals or is it the same college?
No, it's the same concept of not like going into debt for quality education. Like CSUN is a gem. Like everyone I worked with there they're still helping me.
Really?
Yeah, it's a hidden gem. I always tell my students to look at the state schools first.
So one of the things I actually like about your art is you emphasize, I believe we're in this terrible era of art of the dominance of formalism over substance is completely smothering art being a compelling part of culture. And I'm praying that changes someday. And I'm hoping that artists like yourself might have some push of content actually giving art substance that can engage humanity. Humanity. Okay, at least the wider culture. I mean, you've got 1 billion people are going to see Star Wars. You know, wouldn't it be great if 1 billion people went and saw art? Or would it be? Maybe it wouldn't be. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, even though I grew up in the Bahamas and like there wasn't really a higher ed for art, art was big. In elementary school and even in junior high, we had to test out of art to be able to pass. So where I grew up, everything was colorful, everything had art. Art was really important to Bahamians, and it still is. And that was always a way for me to understand things and to communicate to people, because I was very introverted when I was growing up and had different languages that I was dealing with. So art to me helped me literally communicate to people. So I see it as a dialect, I see it as a language, and it should be able to speak to everyone. Anyone who has the gift of sight should be able to communicate and understand what you're saying through art. And so that's kind of like my main goal is, can my work speak to a poor kid who's visiting a museum in Compton, but can it also speak to a big collector who wants to grapple with thicker things? Yeah. Hopefully buy it.
Okay. Let's get.
Oh, wow, that's a piece I haven't seen. That's the Venus of Willendorf.
Yeah, that's my new series. They're portraits of my mom.
Wow.
Your mother was the Venus of Willendorf?
That's what I thought growing up. No. I grew up with a single mother, and so she had to be father, mother, and everything in between, and was constantly. I mean, the Bahamas isn't very pro-woman. Women don't really have rights. So an immigrant woman definitely had no rights, and she still managed to start 3 businesses on her own and like run them. So
wow.
These are eventually going to be 7-foot drawings.
Wow.
Each of the colored strips are hand sewn in. And the strips,
This is fabric?
it's paper, handmade paper.
And then you're sewing in fabric.
I'm sewing in paper.
I see the texture of the thread.
Yeah.
Okay.
And each of the colored strips has a different woman that I think represents aspects of my mom's personality. So the first one is Divine from John Waters, because
awesome.
I'm obsessed with Divine. And also I thought my mom was Ursula from The Little Mermaid for the longest time growing up.
Whoa.
Because she had the same haircut and she would always dress the same and was really loud. And
You can go to the next one. That was good. You know, I want to thank my co-host, because you actually brought up the fact that we were looking at the art. We could actually talk about the art behind it. We've already done a couple shows where I'm just like, So,
See, and it says share right behind us.
okay, so now this is a pretty controversial figure here, Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah, that's my homegirl.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Explain your can I say infatuation with
I came at her from a different perspective because I'm biracial, and in the Bahamas, I was called white my whole life growing up.
And you did a show about that called Kunky Joe.
Called Kunky Joe. I was called Kunky Joe growing up. And so it was crazy when I stepped foot back here in the States, I immediately became black. Like on my medical records, black female, in school, black, black, black. And I remember reading Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and she said, I did not become black until I stepped foot in America. And it's true, like one drop is all it takes here, and you are just black. The jokes are different, the way you're treated is different, and it was confusing to go to high school here and college and just immediately be treated differently.
Right.
And not really know why, and have friends that I've known for years say, I didn't really know what you were, so I just didn't say anything.
I didn't know.
And
wow.
Yeah.
It's a secret.
Wow, that's amazing.
So like when she came out, I was like, man, like it was just important to me how much we take aesthetics and like stupid labels like that we worship so much. And to the point where she kind of like fantasized about being black, and the people around her were like, oh, well, that matches because she's intellectual and we need an intellectual for this position or for this scholarship and for this, and she passes. So
do you consider her a heroic or a bad person? I mean, where do you stand?
I mean, obviously what she did was bad. I mean, she lied. I think the shaming was kind of horrible because I was more concerned about her mental health, because I've met people like this before. Like when you're biracial or black or any part of that community, you always meet someone, like I think we call them uh-oh Oreos. Like you meet people, I mean, my mom was attracted to the black community for that reason. Like there are just people that come to that community and they act like that. The shaming that happened afterwards was pretty awful.
So basically, the engine of evil in culture today, AKA Twitter, really came down hard on Rachel Dolezal, along with a lot of the culture at large. She had very few defenders. And I think the most passionate defense I read was by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And so you read that? What did you think?
I mean, I agree. He's pretty spot on. But he's an inclusionist, so he that kind of tore up the black community too, because half of them were like, we should be accepting her. This is what we need. We need allies like this. And then the other half was like, yeah, but we don't need allies to do blackface or to appropriate us. So the discussion was interesting, and I think it was necessary too, because it really, I think more than anything, it showed that we're obsessed with these labels and segregating ourselves based on aesthetics that aren't even real or logical or factual.
What do you think of the art world's obsession with aesthetics, that you have to make art that kind of conforms to this international style? And I see you as really kind of pushing away from that. You're using the language of art, but you're really pushing against bringing meaning to the forefront and a certain international art fair style to the back. Where do you put yourself in that position?
I work with people that really benefit from art, that were like me and were genuinely ignorant and needed something visual to connect to the meaning. That's plain and simple. That's the first thing that we come to when we're first learning that there's a thing called art. That's more important to me than, I mean, meaning's always there. If you're an art world person, you're gonna be able to unpack my work, fine. But if you're not, you should still be able to come at it in some way. That's why I draw from real life a lot. I just screenshot from the internet because everyone is plugged in now from all over the world, and there's certain aesthetics that everyone gets and understands that doesn't need to have heavy-handedness.
When you say everyone, do you mean it could be anybody around the globe?
Everyone.
So people in the Bahamas.
Absolutely.
And people in Indiana and
people
Los
in
Angeles
Somalia
and New York.
Everywhere.
Okay.
That's why I fight with a lot of Western feminists, because I like the idea of global feminism as opposed to just staying in our little cube and saying, well, everything's fine here because we can vote. You know, it's like, yeah, but there's still a lot of countries that haven't even had their first wave yet, and we're just kind of sitting here in our bubble. Like, I want everyone to be able to understand or at least approach my work and either hate it or tolerate it. But not be ambivalent to it and say that it's above me. There's a joke I'm not getting, there's something I'm not getting, because that's how I felt a lot going on field trips to museums or to galleries. I would just always think, oh, well, this is obviously smarter than me and I'm stupid, so art is probably not something I can deal with. All through undergrad, I felt like that.
And then the irony is when they actually break down the meaning of some grand artwork or some trendy artwork, it's usually the most feeble concern, conceptually, pedestaled up on amazing aesthetics, right?
Yeah.
And so I see you as kind of breaking down that pedestal without demolishing it. But you're certainly making some weighty stuff. You're delivering weighty stuff.
I try.
So what are some of the global feminist concerns that you think the Western feminists are ignoring?
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Well, my husband and I are both activists, so I read a lot. So I actually read a lot of memoirs and journals and stories that are coming out of a lot of African countries, which people don't really know are mostly Muslim countries. I read, the one that really changed my whole outlook on feminism was reading Ayan Hirsi Ali's 3 books, all 3 of her memoirs, where she talks about growing up as a radical Muslim and actually believing in it. And this was the first biography I read that someone wrote where they didn't backtrack and say, oh, well, I'm embarrassed of how I felt and how I thought. She claimed it. She was like, I totally believed in this. I was proud to cover myself. I was proud to say infidels needed to be killed. I was proud. Like, that was my thing. And then to read all of her memoirs transitioning out of it and having her hair out for the first time, having a boyfriend for the first time, like all these things, that's what kind of woke me up to think, well, we're super privileged here, that we can report rape and actually have a police officer go and investigate it. Those things that we have here that we take for granted is not happening in other places. And I want to travel to those places and talk to these women, because there are rogue women who are going around in buses and finding just one woman in that tribe willing to come with them to learn, and they take her and they fill her up with knowledge and then hope that she spreads the knowledge to get rid of female circumcision and force feeding and fat huts and all of these different things that women have to contend with around the world that we just don't even care about, because we're more concerned about nipples on social media.
Right. Well, you're going to Ghana soon, aren't you?
Yes, I am. This coming summer, hopefully.
So tell us a little
What's in Ghana?
Well, apart from being like where a lot of the slaves were shipped out of, the ports, they still have all the original ports and all the original records and stuff there. I want to delve into their record system there on what they kept for slavery. That's more than likely where my genetic code or my DNA is from. I've had my DNA tested and it was between Nigeria and Ghana. So I want to go both places just to do some investigation. I want to go to some women's clubs and see how the black female is used, identified, and maintained in different countries. I want to start in the Bahamas, because how we treat women in the Bahamas is totally different than I imagine they're treated in Ghana or even here. So I want to kind of compare those 2 things and just make work, collect fabric, meet up with some other artists there. There are a lot of artists in Ghana that are making really outstanding work that I follow.
Wow. So, well, in addition to all this, I mean, you've got an art career to worry about. You know, this isn't just, you're not a heady intellectual locked into some theory lab where you're just able to just...
You're producing stuff that comes out of your...
Where are you showing?
Well, I'm going to be in the Skin show with Michael Massenburg coming up.
And that's at Barnsdall?
Yeah, that's actually what's on the screen right now is the mock of the next installation I'm doing.
The LA Municipal Art Gallery at Barnsdall Art Park will be hosting Skin.
And when does that open?
February 7th.
Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So if you don't like sports, you can go see some art, and then you can watch Modern Art Blitz live at 5.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you are also in the show at the Watts Tower.
I am, curated by Michael Massenburg.
There's a lot of echo in this show. What's going on?
No, it's an infinity loop.
Yeah, Michael took care of me when I moved to Inglewood. Like right out of grad school, he was the first artist to reach out and say, you should come to this, you're welcome. He got me jobs last year, helped me pay rent. Like, I use his work in my class a lot too, to teach.
And where do you teach?
I teach at Glendale Community College. That's my home.
And what are you teaching?
I teach 2D design and drawing.
What are the students like these days? I can't relate to kids at all anymore. So what are kids like these days? You're a kid. What am I talking about?
Get off of my lawn.
Tell
man.
me.
Instant gratification, share, share, share. My students at Glendale are slightly different though. It's the most diverse body of students I've ever had. And they're all there to get ahead. They're all there to get to the next level. So they're hardworking. And they're all kind of confused as to whether they want to go into art school or whether they want to go into the mentorship model and skip school. And
does anybody want to get into the bohemian, I'm just going to hang out and be an artist and starve model?
That might be the mentorship made.
that doesn't suit this generation.
Yeah.
They're so used to editing their statuses and having the ability to make things perfect. That uncertainty is terrifying. And I have to
Wow.
include myself in that generation because I am technically in that generation.
What
but
do they call that generation?
I'm Gen X leaning millennial. My students are homeland leaning millennials.
Wait,
So
wait.
What's a homeland?
What's a homeland?
Homelanders are Gen Z. That's the next generation after millennials.
What's the cutoff year?
It's being debated right now.
Well,
like
but
the
what's
history is
basic
happening right
age
now.
range?
I want to say they were born after 9/11.
Okay, so
That's why they're called
homeland.
Homelanders.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
because
okay,
we
Homeland
hold
Security.
security.
That's all they know now.
Yeah.
Whereas we
It
know.
took me a while, but I finally got it.
Yeah.
So okay, and you're a millennial, Gen X. What's
Gen
what's
X
the cutoff
leaning
of that?
millennial.
What's
It's like you have the whole millennial spectrum, but like the closer you are to the other generation is where you're leaning.
what's the year? What's the year
wanna
that
say-
Gen X ended?
There's some debate. that it-
99.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's debated right now. There hasn't
You were
been an
born in
official.
1999?
I wasn't. No.
Wait, I bet that's 90. Wait. Okay, wait. Okay, let's start with the baby boomers. We know that was 1946. Okay,
Right.
I was born in '64, and so that's always I'm like, am I the end of the baby boom or the beginning of Gen X? And see, I say I'm a Gen X because I was conceived after Kennedy was assassinated. Okay,
Right.
so you want to look at these major shifts in culture, like when some dilemma happened. So when did Gen X end and millennials begin? Like 1980,
Yeah. 82,
82?
82, 83.
There was no big. What was the big thing then? 2 minutes? We only have 2 minutes.
Oh my
We're
gosh,
just
we only
starting
have
to
2
talk.
minutes?
Okay.
Oh my gosh. And
Okay. So
you're so much fun to talk to, and we only have 2 minutes left. This sucks.
well, we'll just have to continue this gabathon another time.
Yeah.
So April, you are showing. You're coming up soon, and anything else you're working on?
No, it's just skin and
Well, I mean, you're in the studio every day, though.
I'm working on prints and stuff.
Somebody didn't want to be on my show today because it cut into her studio time. Now all of a sudden she's saying she's not doing anything. I don't know. I'm getting 2 stories here. So you're always working on the art, and there's a lot of opportunities out there for artists who just work and work it, right?
Yeah, I teach and I work in my studio. That's all I do now.
Yeah, I've seen you out at the openings.
I go to support friends and to see what's happening, but
You're definitely not one of those people that goes, "Ha! I got to get you down to the studio." You know, yeah.
I'm not good at that.
Yeah, I'm
the
worried.
Caribbean part
When you
coming
shake hands, I'm worried about the cold fish. Like, but anybody who breaks your knuckles, I'm like,
Or
okay.
who uses your name like repeatedly.
Yeah.
April.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. So, well, hey, it's been great having you on the show. You're one of my favorite young artists. Jeez, one of these Gen X
our
leading
work is
millennial.
so fierce. I love your incorporation of pop culture icons. Olivia Pope. She's got Olivia Pope. It's from
I've
Canada.
done them too. I'm waiting for
Yeah.
one of them to contact me.
Who? Olivia or the Pope?
Anyone. I was hoping Beyonce would come close
That's just
to at least like suing me or something.
Oh, yeah. You gotta watch out for that.
which goes into the whole issue of copyright, which brings us back, which we can't get into now, but I hope Matt will have you back on later in the year because I want to talk to you more.
Yeah.
Oh, you can go have boba with her anytime, right? She's always down for boba.
Yeah, Chinatown boba.
All right. So, okay. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on Modern Art Blitz. I'd like to thank our other guest today was Michael Massenburg, and of course my lovely co-host, who's so well informed with the news and what's going on, and had the intellect today to finally realize, hey, let's talk about the art that's actually being shown here. Lisa Derrick, give Lisa Derrick some applause here. And my name, you know who I am. I'm not even going to bother. So next week we will have some surprise guest. I can't tell you who's going to be on, but
my lips are sealed, Matt. They tried to get it out of me last night.
well, his initials are Anthony Ausgate. Oh God! So okay. So
one of my favorites. I'm stoked about that.
so thanks for joining us. And how do we have the music play now, Nolan?
Play us out, Nolan.
There's going to be music playing, and that's it.
Your mind's full of
Yay!
Yay!